दृशिस्कन्दमूर्तिः श्रुतौ स्कन्दकीर्तिः मुखे मे पवित्रं सदा चरित्रं करे तस्य कृत्यं वपुस्तस्य भृत्यं भुवे सन्तुलिना मम देयमवा दृशिस्कन्दमूर्तिः श्रुतौ स्कन्द कीर्तिः मुखे मे पवित्रं सतत चरित्रं करे तस्य कृत्यं वपुस्तस्य भृत्यं गुहे सन्तुलिना मम सेजभावः. This is in continuation of last classes discussion about little bit about bhakti. So this particular shloka is from Shanmukha Subramanya Bhujangam by Adi Shankara, where he praised the Lord Subramanya in Trichandur, one small in the southern state in the seashore, very nice temple. And you'll not believe, during tsunami, the sea went back there. That temple he visited 2,500 years ago and sang this song. I see Drishiskandamurti. Wherever my eyes fall, it falls only on you, on your murti, on your form. Drishiskandamurti. Shrutau skanda kirti. I hear only your kirti, your glory. Mukhe me pavitram sadat charitram. Whatever is coming through my voice or the tongue is your kirti, your glories only. Karetasya krityam, whatever I do with my hands is your work. So everything I do is dedicated to you, and in that bhava, I spend my whole day and every day like that. So this is complete bhakti, self-surrender to the Lord. So I have seen photos of pictures of Ramana Maharshi sitting on a peacock, which is more or less he is compared to Subramanya or Kartikeya. That's what this shloka is. Okay, Ji, please continue.
It is very surprising and sometimes very difficult for people to understand that in spite of having the same body and mind, how this transformation happens. And for a mind full of doubt, it looks like this person is maybe making it up, or he's a nutcase, or he's only working on from a belief system. Because mind is such a thing, it cannot grasp what it is without mind. So let's say a seeker, a devotee, or a sadhak who is trying to finish this mind and trying to be that non-doership, in which you don't have to be into self, you are only self only. But a stage before, when a person with mind is trying to be there and using the mind for that purpose, mind creates a lot of doubts. All efforts are to clear those doubts. That is what sadhana is. If you have no doubt left, then what are you left is with pure bliss, pure self. Mind has no clue what life is without it. Because mind is an instrument, it's a gadget, it cannot know its master. Self is the master. And what we talk as jiva, which goes through birth and death, is nothing but mind only. So someone who believes in mind gets born and then dies and then comes back again. But the moment you come to the source of this mind, which is you, your true self, the mind settles there. Mind stops its tricks on you. Its game is over. Leela is finished for you. And then you don't have to do anything. All life is effortless in that self. Now, what this self will do when there is no mind? This is the quality of self. It appreciates itself, that's all. In that appreciation of its own self, it appreciates everything. Because the moment it knows itself, it knows that there is nothing apart from self. All images, animate, inanimate, sentient, insentient, everything is nothing but self. So when someone says this samsara, this word is unreal, they say it is unreal because what you think real is unreal. Actually, it is all projection from the same pure self. Self in you, self in me, self in everyone. But until you know this, something needs to be given to the mind to stop believing in it. And so we say it is unreal. Some people are so much attached to their actions. All the time they are busy in actions. And they feel, they think, they act that if they do this, they will get this, and then this will get to this. And they are in trap. Because of thoughts, because of this I amness which owns this body mind, and whatever the mind says, it obeys. It is a slave of the mind. And mind is slave of all the senses. And if you see anyone's life, leave aside your own life, anyone's life in this world, we are all slave of these senses. Why we work, what we do is all for these senses. We do it for food, for name, for fame, for taste of all these sense organs. Our all actions depends on them only. But if you sit quietly, you notice that you are not this body, you are not this mind, you are not these senses. And everything just drops like a penny immediately at that moment. And that is self-realization. Then all your efforts drop. And you think these all efforts were wasteful exercise for a body which is turning into dust sooner than later. Very soon. Hardly any time left. You might be 30, 40, 50, 60. How does it matter? Who knows how long this body is going to last? And then it will be dust. So all your efforts to please this body, whether you achieve them or you don't achieve them, it doesn't matter. It will be dust. But use this body to know your pure, true self. That is the utility of this body-mind. And then whatever is left after realizing, then self appreciates self only. It sings the glory of its own self. It can sing glory in form of a guru or nature or some god in a form or formless. It can even sing glory of this own body-mind through which it has received it. Because it has feeling of gratitude for this body mind also. Because eventually, whatever you have realized, there is some role of this body mind, isn't it? Though it was a trap, but to get out of the trap, you have used it and it has cooperated with you. So you have gratitude for it. You have bhakti for this body mind also. Some saints, they actually appreciate their own name. Even Bhagavan used to enjoy when people used to sing his praise. And he used to sing. And people used to say, it is for you, why you are singing? He said, why can't I enjoy my own praise? But a mind with ego, a mind full of filth cannot understand this. There was another saint living in Tiruvannamalai, Yogi Ram Surat Kumar. He said that say this name, this is the name given by my father. You chant it and you will be liberated. He promoted his own name. People say the name of Ram or Shiva or another god or goddesses. He said, you take my name. Once the ashram building was being constructed, and in that they were putting the big lantern. If someone might have seen that huge hall, it's really huge hall. And while they were doing it, they were failing to put it properly aligning. He said, put my picture, put a lamp, and it will work. And they did it. They put his picture, put a diya there, oil lamp, and then they tried and it went precisely where it has to go. So still there, it is there at that place. And this was when he was alive. He would have said that put the picture of Shiva or Arunachala, but he said put my picture. He knows, he is so confident, there is no difference between his picture or Shiva's picture. His own praise is Shiva's praise only. How this happens? This happens when the mind completely dissolves. Till the mind stays, everything stays. Mind goes, you are free. All these doubts coming to the mind, whether someone is realized or not realized, or I am realized or not realized, path I have taken, whether it's right or wrong, all these are creations of the mind. And the only way to dissolve it completely is by power of observation, witnessing everything, not believing on any thought, not acting on any thought, not even thinking that these thoughts are coming for you. Give up ownership of these thoughts. Just stay as a witness. When you stay as a witness, it is attention to that pure self, that Shiva within us, which is none other than us. If you see Bhagavan, Bhagavan always said that Arunachala, that pure consciousness, appeared in my heart and raised my level to it and made me one with him. And so it is only Arunachala Ramana. And he praises Arunachala. When he is praising Arunachala, he is praising himself only. When he is praising himself, he is praising Arunachala only. No difference. Only thing left is love only. And this, the moment you realize this thing, when this restless mind stops for a second or a fraction of a second and you know what you are, This is so intense, so blissful that you hang on to it. Nobody wants to leave it, and you abide in it. Though sometimes for some people this effortless abidance takes time because of some tendencies, because still there might be some interest in some activities. So this stabilization of process can take time. But the moment you realize this self, it comes in everyone's life. It's like this. In some people, they slip out of it, and then stabilization takes some time. But this beautiful revelation which happens, we call it grace of that Shiva, grace of your own self. And that will happen if you stay in on this door, stay as a witness. Your interest is only in self. You praise self. You go through Bhakti Marg, devotional, praise it, sing its glory, read about it, remember it. Put efforts for that. Or if you contemplate on these words, you remember it, you keep brooding on it. Like constant, when someone gets into love, falls in love with someone, you remember that person without anyone asking you to remember. You are so much in love. So efforts are only efforts, feel efforts only when you are really not 100% a seeker. You are a seasonal seeker. You have other interest also. Then it is an effort. Otherwise, if you love someone, then what is the effort? Once there was a saint I was reading. In India, it is a very common trend, even now, that a lot of saints and sages, they walk up to Himalayas and all these tirthas. They never take any vehicle. Anyway, so he was climbing up in Himalayas and he saw a girl who was 10, 12 years old, and she was carrying her brother or sister in lap and climbing. And this sage was carrying a kamandlu there which contains water. So he asked this girl that it must be really heavy for you to carry this boy or girl, whoever that was. She said, no, he's my brother. He's not baggage or luggage. How can he feel heavy? He's my brother. So this is the thing, when you are connected with something, so much so that then there is no effort. People say put more efforts, remember God, pray to God, do some tapas, do some meditation. And then people feel proud of doing 1 hour, 2 hours of meditation every day, or a japa every day. People who do japa, some say that, okay, I will do for these many number. What is the number? To dissolve that mind, you just continue doing. And then it happens even at night when you sleep. If you remember it all the time, because you are in so much in love with that self, that whatever drama unfolding in front of us, it continues. You can't make it stop, and you can't make it go. It just happens. Till this body is there, mind is there, things are happening. One thing goes, the other comes. But when your love is into the self, there is no choice for the self to reveal self, and you get firmly established in it. But there should be that madness. Without that madness, without that intense love for it, it's not going to happen. And that is why they say there should be desirelessness. What is desirelessness? And what desire? People used to ask a lot of these, questions from Bhagavan. Look, what about desire for food or desire to evacuate? All some stupid nonsense questions. These are all body's needs. It will happen. Does don't. That is why people identify themselves with the body and body's needs, and then they think it's a desire. Leave aside that. You and this body are so different. Just like you and your mobile phone. And you keep saying, no, no, I am my mobile phone because I answer, I talk to everyone through that. I know all the questions and answers of all things through Google. I watch videos on YouTube. No, no, it can't be. I am that smartphone. This body is insentient like your smartphone. How the smartphone is working. Just like this body, your phone has a body, Annamaya Kosha. Then your body has prana, the energy. Same is your battery life of your smartphone. Then you have a mind. That also has this SIM card through which it functions. Everything is through that SIM card. Then there is an intellect. Then there are apps in your smartphone, which is like intellect. And in spite of all that, then it is connected to the source, battery. That connection of internet or Wi-Fi through which it functions, through the Telstar TV tower or wherever it is. If that is not there, then your phone is useless. That connection is what we are. And that is not in your smartphone. It comes to the smartphone, it is in the phone, it is outside the phone. That transmission which comes. If that transmission doesn't come, even if there is a full battery, SIM card, everything is fine. If there is no connection, it is useless. So you are that connection which is within the phone, outside the phone. Same is here. It is so subtle, it is subtler than ether or air. To know it, to be it, you have to disentangle from all this gross stuff. This is so gross, this body. And then mind is also very gross. Mind is very heavy. That's why people get headache when they have so many thoughts after thoughts. They become out of focus, they get confused, they are stressed, they get anxiety, panic attacks, depressed, psychotic, unhappy, suffering. By what? By thoughts. They are very heavy. You are that subtle, pure, which is none other than that Shiva, manifesting within and without. It has nothing to do with your profession, where you are born, how you look, how this body is weak or strong, your previous births, your actions. It doesn't matter at all. For that Shiva, that pure self, this body mind is just a body mind, just like any other body mind, whether it's an insect, butterfly, cow, dog, tree, any other plant, river. It does not matter. Everything is same. Realize this, that this body is only to communicate. This body is to know the self. And this body is to help others. This body is not for us. For us, the purpose is only to know the self. That's all. If we can use for that purpose, that is more than enough. All things in this world which we think are important are actually useless. Because what is going to happen at the end of this body will be in dust. And all your actions, what you think are so important, whatever they have created or not created, how does it matter? Some people talk about legacy, that I will leave this legacy. Who will look after your legacy? Who cares about your legacy? It is only ego, which even after death want to survive, and it survives. That is the reason it survives, and it takes another birth. Because it is unfulfilled desires which give rise to next birth, next birth, and next birth. If you understand why we have desires, why the desires are unfulfilled, why there's always something lacking in us, not making us completely contented, because from where we are acting can never be contented. Mind is a restless being. You can do as much meditation, mindfulness. It will be better than others, but still it's mind. You can train a monkey to be silent. It can be better than 1 million monkeys, but it will still be a monkey. So do you want to be a very settled monkey, or do you want to be that bliss? If you want to be bliss, you have to leave this monkey mind completely. That's why all these techniques, which the whole world is using now, with scientific evidence, with changes in the brain, are useless for a sadhak. Sadhak, I say, who only wants self, is not looking for a stopgap arrangement where there is some bliss, some peace, and then he can enjoy this world. He wants to be out of it. Out in a sense that this veil, which is covering truth, has to open up. This will only open up if you are interested in the one which is beyond it. And then you have no interest in what is on this side. And believe me, once you touch that pure beingness, it is another unending, infinite thing, which has different rasas. It has something which is indescribable. It is a journey which is not then in your hand. Then that self takes you on a different journey, which you just observe, but you can't say, because this mind, this body, this speech cannot convey anything. So everyone stops at that it is peace, it is bliss, it is santosha, it is contentment, it is happiness, and it is something which connects with everything in this world in one instant. No one is separate from you. It becomes an infinite circle of consciousness where you become everything and everything is you. But remember, in this everything is you, there are no attachments with anything. There is no one a friend or someone is an enemy. It is just that impartial, pure awareness, embracing everything as it is. For practical purposes, Living in a family, you can still comment or try to correct people, but it doesn't matter. They are just images. So there is no grudge, no ill feelings, no story behind people which affects you. No one is yours, no one is stranger. How blissful this condition is when the mind is completely empty. Empty of anything. What is mind? If you see, mind is likes and dislikes only. When mind is not there, there's no likes, there's no dislike. There's no planning. There's no agenda. But still things happens. And then you realize that this all is set in the perfect tone by that absolute. How things will manifest, how things will happen. It was utter foolishness that we thought that we are doing. You know, the Gyanis had falls in shame because he understands how foolish he was when he thought that he is doing something. No one is doing anything. Things just happens. And who is free from action, doership? The one who knows that things are happening on its own. When you are in that pure self where you know that you are not doing anything, then whatever this body does, good or bad, it does not affect. It does not again start collecting brownie points. There are no karmas. Because how that karma will come now when there is no doer? Then things are just happening and you are just witness to it. And what happens with the actions happening because of previous karmas? They are happening in the body. No one is trying to stop it or do it. It's just happening. And it will finish with this body. So in total, there is zero bank balance. If there is a bank balance, then someone will be born again to utilize it. But if you don't have anything left, then what can you do? Someone can argue that when this body is doing some actions can be good and some can be bad. What will happen with that? Will not that will lead to another birth? When there is no doership, there cannot be birth. And about the actions of good and bad, all the devotees, disciples, or the people who praise, who appreciate, they will take away the good karmas of good actions of this body. And people who criticize, who abuse, who insult, will take away all the bad actions of that body. This is the way it gets distributed among people. And at the end, the balance is zero. This is that impartial awareness, which is very, very humble, very loving, but very indifferent also. Indifferent to a level that it looks like it is not interested in anything. Because it is actually not interested, it is not attracted to anything. Only thing it is attracted is if a fellow person wants to know the same pure self, then it wants to talk about it or help about it. But apart from that, it has no interest. You can call it compassion, but I think it is the nature of this self to help others to get into this self. Sometimes people think that someone realizes and he becomes a guru or a teacher immediately. It's not in anyone's hand. Yes, there is a long list of fake gurus who have no realization but wants others to know that they can help, and they do all sorts of dramas. But then also it is not an issue here. There is no teacher here. There is no doership here. This is just the praise of that pure self which comes out using that mind and body, which can become a message or a teaching. But it is not a copycat. It's not like you have read somewhere and then you are talking about it. No one can do that. As Bhagavan used to do, he used to teach everything in silence. He never went anywhere to advertise himself. But his advertisement was done by that Absolute in his own way, even happening now. I am doing it. So many other thousands of people are doing it. You all are doing it. Who has paid you to call Bhagavan Ramana's name? Or Arunachala? That divine force works through us in some peculiar way to do its divine work through us. We are mere instruments. And we should feel happy about it, that we are the chosen ones in some form, not a matter of pride, but feeling obliged that we have been used for this purpose. At least we have that satsang. In this time of the world, in Kali Yuga, people are living in klesh, where there are wars, animosities, anger, greed, whatnot. At least we are sitting in our own blissful self. Though to the external world we might look that we are useless people. Actually, the useless people of this materialistic world are useful people for God. Because till you are useful, you are attached to the word in some form or the other. Pride that you are doing something useful, good to the word. Always remember the pure self within. There is nothing except self. All what you see is images coming and going. All the news you watch or you hear the stories, they have no meaning. Nothing can surprise you when you know the self. Because whatever surprise people feel is part of this illusion only. Whether someone runs so fast, or even someone shows a magic, or someone has some divine powers, they're all part of this Maya only, illusion only. And it is also good to watch it, to admire it, because the source is the same. But you cannot be fooled again when your dream has been broken by that grace. And surprisingly, this dream gets broken every day. From waking dream, we get dream in sleep, and then we go into deep sleep, then it comes back again. And if you analyze, we are most happy when we are in deep sleep, when there is no mind. It gives us a clue that try to grasp that when there is no mind. That is you. And that self is so self-effulgent that once you know, you wonder how you thought that you are not it. Some people say or think that how a person would know that he is self-realized or not. All these doubts are there only till there is mind, which is overpowering you. Turn 180 degree. Whatever happening in life, good or bad, doesn't matter. Pay attention to the self and stay there. Allow things to happen with total acceptance. If irritation happens, observe it. Attachment happens, observe it. Thought comes, observe it. When any selfish desire or motive or agenda comes in mind, just observe it. Your observation will dissolve it, because this observation is happening from that witness, that self. Slowly and slowly, when you are witnessing things as they are, even that witnessing dissolves, leaving nothing. Just emptiness. If you ask what is the difference before and after realization, there is an unending joy, peace, and love which is never known before. Because this word love looks like it's opposite to hate. But I think this love is opposite to ignorance. This love is opposite to attachment. Love what a mind knows, on which poems are written, movies are made, novels are written, is not this love. That is infatuation, attachment. This love is pure, divine, encompasses everyone, including things which people hate. It involves all sorts of creatures, trees, plants, animate, inanimate. And this love is with respect. And this love will not fade if someone doesn't like you, will not get more if someone likes you. That's why this term love is God is absolutely true. How God manifests in the body is form of love only. Don't think on realization person's personality changes. Personality drops. What is left is that pure self. It is attributeless, but I think it has its own beautiful vibration, loving kindness, which it spreads in its own way. That's why some sages who are angry, maybe there is still some anger, but even when they throw stones, it becomes worship, it becomes blessing to people. Who knows how it works? But go within, it's all within. All these satsangs, prayers, all these help. This will help when you become subtle in your own energy. A human being is nothing but an animal. And the natural evolution stops with birth as a human being. And after that, it is your efforts, or you can call it grace, to reach that higher plane, that vibration where you get disentangled from matter. And to be there, huge support of Arunachala. Thinking, seeing, touching, name, remembrance, asking for grace, whatever way. That solid mass of rock is nothing but self. Same self. And it is so easy. Bhagavan says this Atma Vidya is Ati Sulabham. Very easy. Easy for a devotee, but impossible for an arrogant man. Be a devotee. Bhagavan never had disciples. Just stay as a witness to everything. And you will realize actually nothing affects us. Nothing is holding us. It was only us who were taking everything seriously in this external world, people and images, and were attached to them. You move out, and nothing affects you. It is that this world is not holding you, you are holding it. Why don't you loosen your grip and be free? All the time thinking and being slave of thoughts after thoughts. This is a disease. Whole world is suffering. Compulsive thinking and following it. No, who is asking you to do this? Where have you learned this technique to stay in the cage of this mind? Which book says that keep following your thoughts, whatever they are? Even in Western world psychologists, they tell you how to detach yourself from thoughts. But they are telling only to those selected people who have really bad thoughts, negative thoughts, suicidal thoughts, paranoia. Just stay as a witness. While staying as a witness, feel that you are Arunachala. You are that still mountain. Mountain of silence, which is not reacting to anything for any reason. More you stay like this, more you recede from mind and body and everything. And grace is with you. Remember, grace is always with you. Otherwise, why you would have been listening to it? If grace has brought you up to here, it will finish your job also. Believe me. Otherwise, there is no purpose of this satsang. That self within us is witnessing everything all the time. You sleep, you get up. Self never sleeps. Self is the changeless awareness. Remember all the story of your life is like writing on water. It has no meaning. This story which you have started thinking your own is of the body and mind. Body is born, it has gone through a story and will be dead soon. You are that unborn awareness, which is only witnessing this body and mind story. Some of the sages, they started speaking that language, which is the true language. They used to call this body as by its name. Lot of them. And the one who are not calling, they know it, but they just don't want to say like that. They just, for the sake of convenience for other people, they still use the term I. But then there were others who used to call by the name of the body, because they are not the body. Just like a child which calls this body by a name. And this is so simple. You have to go back to those childhood days when you had no ownership. Here, what we are trying to do, we are trying to be owner of everything around us. A seeker does not even want to own this body. What about other things? That is the beauty of it. Believe me, have taken the right path, easiest path, simplest path. Which is so direct and will take very less time. Because it's straight to the heart. You have come out of the same source and going back to the same source. Just like the river which has come out of the ocean from the clouds and then flowing back to the ocean. All seekers of all traditions or religions, everyone will find their way back to the ocean of bliss. There is no doubt about it. But remember, this is so direct. That you hit the jackpot, you go back to the source directly, and you just stay there. And you dissolve in it. Dissolve so completely that you forget your name, your identity. Then all the names of God are your own name. If people praise Jesus, they are praising you. If they praise Krishna, they are praising you. You feel so overjoyed by all that praise which goes to the self. There is no difference. This is this undifferentiated awareness. In reality, it has no name. None other than you. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.